Podcast. Welcome back. My name is Kerry Miller, and today I'm sitting with Mr. Paul Wheatley. He's known as the tattoo artist to just about everyone in KZN. Welcome, Paul.
Thank you for having me.
So just before we begin, why would I have a tattoo artist on the Well I Am podcast? Well, if we're talking wellness and we speak about anything that you ingest, food, thoughts even that affect your body, surely we need to speak about ink.
I think that's one of the biggest things, especially when it comes to wellness, because you know both on obviously what's going into your body and then also what we linked with in terms of spirituality, mental, whatever that you want to call it. Yeah, tattooing, there's a lot that goes into it. It's like your negativity, my positivity. Like there's a whole lot of different things that go into it. And the biggest part, obviously, the ink that's going into your system.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's something I actually, I don't know how to explain properly, but a lot of people came to me and it's like, is your ink vegan? I'm like...
Is your ink vegan?
Yeah, it didn't really, when I was looking at it, it's like, why would anybody worry if something like that is vegan? Like, how would it even be vegan? I wouldn't understand. And then as we go into it, I did a bit more research, and literally every product now is vegan friendly.
Oh, okay. Well, before we get into that, Paul Wheatley, I've known you for many years. So, Paul, you and I met. I think I was in Pietermaritzburg. I was still working with East Coast. We were doing a show there. And you walked up to me. And I mean, I might have the story wrong now, but in my head, it was one of these like, hello, I'm going to be your tattoo artist. And I was like, okay. And you have been my tattoo artist now for 8-9 years.
I remember that vividly.
Like
vividly. What happened was Toy Story, I think it was, came up. And then at that time, obviously, the star of the show was. And I literally was sent to take a picture, buy the toy, do that whole thing. And I saw him like, wait now, okay. After 1 year of having my number, then you only reached out.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay.
I had to make sure,
Something happened, and yeah, this is where we are now.
How long have you been tattooing?
I'm tattooing now for 13 years.
13. Can anyone who's arty convert that to being good at tattooing?
Like a lot of people are arty in their own right, if I say that, but you need to be able to draw. Like I'm talking draw, whether it's a cat, whether it's a dog, whether it's a dragon or somebody's face. As long as you're able to draw, then you can focus on going into it. Like I didn't go into tattooing liking tattoos. I got into it because I was really good at art, and it's like, hey, there's another medium of art. So that's what got me into it. So it's not like I was ready to just be a tattoo artist and had no idea. It's like, no, I know my thing. I'm a natural artist. So yeah, it was just like another step in what we do.
Is there a tattoo school or a tattoo academy? Is there a diploma in tattooing?
It's a tough one. It's a very closed industry. Okay, in today's, I think the last maybe 6 years, it's been very open. We got things like Timu and all these things. You can literally go and buy yourself a tattoo machine there. But in terms of actually learning, there's no tattoo schools. I looked at, I'm like, hey, maybe I could open something for artists.
Gap in the market, man.
And then it just becomes an oversaturated market. It's like everyone who buys a camera is a photographer, and it doesn't work that way.
Like yoga teachers, yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into it. So the general rule of thumb is go to a tattoo studio, get an apprenticeship, do your little, obviously they'll teach you hygiene, they'll teach you all these different things of the industry, whether it comes to business, and then obviously progress into doing, obviously the tattoo side of things. But I think now it's more of, let's find good artists, not just someone that likes tattoos and, okay, I don't have a job, I think I'll be good at this, and you learn, obviously, how to draw. Because somebody can be taught, like your basic little butterflies and infinity signs. Anybody can do that. But when it comes to art, I see now there's some guys that literally take kids out of university, studied art, and they've got nothing to fall back on. So they're like, hey, listen, come here. You're not going to scrub the toilet, which is obviously the traditional apprenticeship was, come here, work for free, just be a dog.
Yeah, you're the lucky, and then
And now it's just about, okay, are you a good artist? Let's see your work. Now we're going to teach a different medium of art. And yeah, working on skin is basically learning another medium. So it's like taking a crayon or taking a paintbrush. You're just learning a different medium. So if you're good at art, that thing comes naturally.
But now, when you're first learning, so you've come into the shop, it's your apprentice, and it's the first day of actually learning to tattoo. Surely you're not tattooing a human. What do you, I mean, do you tattoo on an orange, like a piece of pork, or like what do you?
So at least, again, technology in the tattoo industry is so far beyond what it used to be. Like there's literally like these silicone skins that they have. Which
What?
is, yeah, it's like, it's pretty insane. You can learn a lot of techniques on that.
Wait, what's a silicone skin? Is it like a fake it's doll?
Not even, they actually do have that. They got like arms and legs and stuff, but
Really?
it's literally an A4 sheet, just like on paper, a little thin piece of, like obviously that's silicone material, but it's made to
Practice.
let the needles penetrate properly. It's not exactly the same as skin, but you learn a good technique on that. Nobody's ever going to be able to tattoo, whether you're coming with, I know back in the day it was the pork skin.
Oh, was it really? Okay.
Yeah. So it was the closest thing to human skin.
And then we're talking needles. I've seen you have a tattoo needle, a tattoo gun machine. What's it called?
Machine. No
Tattoo
gun,
machine with almost a single needle. I've seen one with what looks like 12 needles, like how those or the old school jabs used to get. And then there's hand poked. What is for what?
Okay, so obviously single needle, you know that's a I think more detailed technique. You need to be really good at what you do because that thing will split people's skin like instantly.
Wait, what? What do you mean by that?
It's literally one needle, so it's like a blade in essence. So if you don't know how to control your needle depth, you're going to split somebody's skin, and it's easier to have the blowouts. So you got to be
What does a blowout mean?
So obviously if I penetrate too deep with the needle, it's going to go past the layer that you're supposed to be tattooing in, and then you get that like weird little black splotch in your tattoo.
I did not know that. Well, how deep does a tattoo penetrate?
I can't go into millimeters because for me it's all about feel, but basically the first layer of skin. So obviously it's the epidermis, and then the dermis, and then the endodermis.
So then why doesn't it come off? Like if we go into the sun and you peel, or you have, like, you know how we lose layers of skin. So why doesn't the tattoo come off then if it's not so deep?
Because it goes, obviously epidermis, it literally sits under your skin. Then what happens is your body actually does fight tattoos. That's what you'll see after time. Your line was once like super thin, and then after time it kind of bleeds out because your body is literally fighting this every day. It's a foreign substance. So it grows, that's what we say, it grows with your body. So you must be able to understand that when you get a tattoo, that's why everyone's like, oh, we should stay the way it was like when I first did it. And that's never going to happen. Tattoos are never going to be super black or super white or super red. It just depends on how much sun that you're in. Obviously, we live in Durban, so a lot of the time people with color tattoos in Durban. If you're out at the beach, most of the time your color tattoos are going to fade.
Okay, and then, so that's the single needle, which you have to be really good at what you're doing. So also, I mean, that depends on if you're going to find an artist and you're finding an artist that uses a single needle, you want to make sure they know what they're doing. Then the many, many needles, what's that for?
So we got single needle, right? But it's not just single needle. So you've got what's called liners, and then you've got what's called shaders. So your liners come from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They also come in different diameters, 0.25, 0.35. Like there's so many different levels. It's not just a needle. Like everyone just assumes, okay, I made a line, it's one needle.
Yeah.
No, so it's there's a million different groupings, okay? Then those big fat shading ones, they called magnums. So you get curved magnums, flat magnums, stacked magnums. So there's a whole...
Those have got like 12 needles.
Yeah, we go up to like maybe some guys use like really big ones up past 23 even. Then they go up to like 40. Like it's become bigger. But the problem is the more resistance there is, so the bigger amount of needles, obviously you have to press it a lot harder. So I'm the type of artist that prefers using smaller needles, and then the penetration is quicker, so therefore my work is quicker, and then there's less trauma.
Not as sore.
Yeah. But then again, the bigger needles also, because of that resistance, it isn't as harsh as when you're using like smaller needles, which penetrate quicker.
And hand poked, what does that mean?
So it's basically the old way of tattooing. It's taking, for example, my tattoo machine will run in an up and down motion. The needle goes in and out and then puts the ink into your skin. So hand poking is literally that. So my machine runs very fast. This one is like that single little prick, prick, prick to do it.
Really?
No, it was like, for me growing up, like where I come from, that was the, for lack of better words, like they call it the jailbird tattoo, where people in prison would hand poke and they've got all these tattoos. And now it's crazy because now people actually charge more for hand poke. Oh, it's hand poke. It's just in essence tattooing. There's no real like science behind it that makes it any different from anything else.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, so now...
Sorry guys. I know the hand poke people are going to fight
Yeah,
me.
handpoke people are like, you have no idea. So let's backtrack a little bit now. We were talking about going and getting a tattoo and people asking you if it's vegan. So let's look at the ink. Is there let's look at a comparison to wine. Is it just like a red wine, or there's a really good quality red wine and there's the box wine? Do you get a good quality ink and a shit ink? Does it matter? Is the black ink going to be your ink that's probably got the less amounts of stuff in? Is your colored ink probably going to be filled with things that you don't want in your body? Like, what is in ink? Do you know?
It's a tough one. I can guarantee you most people don't take the time out to actually figure out, okay, wait, what am I actually putting in other people's skins? Like, even again, the needles, like back in the day, lead is a lead poisoning. That's why lead is no longer used in children's pencils. But when it comes to the ink, you have to be so concerned with the metals that go into your body. Also, there are metals, I won't lie, that are in tattoo inks, but it's not so much that your body's not used to, because again, everything in our body, like what we drink from, all that plays a big part in what we put into our body. But when it comes to the ink specifically, there's a big problem where anybody can buy ink from anywhere, and it'll have a good name, and like, for example, the top brand.
What is the top brand? Like, is there a top brand we know?
For me, yeah. So for me, dynamic ink is what we use. It's basically like a tattoo staple in all the tattoo studios. You'll see people using dynamic ink, and for my color choice, I use a brand called Solid Ink, and this also comes with climate. So, for example, we closer, as I say, to the equator. We live in a very hot climate, so therefore we need to use, how would I say, like a lower viscosity type of ink.
Okay.
So we needed to penetrate more because of that. So, for example, Northern America, it's very cold. Those guys, very fair, obviously, also, and then they can use the thicker inks. So the pigment is a big issue. So I actually learned that from guys down in Cape Town. I phoned them. I said, "Hey, listen, I'm having a problem with my ink. I think they sold me the wrong thing." And the guy literally said to me, "Okay, wait, let me see the brand. Give me the serial number." And he's like, "That's not from me." I'm like, "But I only order from you." And I found out that the guy that was doing the ordering for us actually ordered from a different place, and it was fake ink.
Oh,
And
wow.
that's where it's like it's just crazy. Like, there's a lot of brands out there, but again, it comes down to do you like red wine or do you like sparkling wine? So for me, I just found my preference. But yeah, the higher end brands, obviously, they are a lot better.
And earlier you said people ask you, is it vegan? Are tattoos or inks, are the inks vegan?
I'm not sure if anybody uses anything now that isn't. I think it's just that general thing that people do now. Okay, let's make sure everything's vegan.
Okay,
Let's make sure, there's certain things that we can't add into it. And yeah, so across the board, when you're buying the proper ink, majority are all vegan. Like, I check my labels all the time, all of them.
And have you ever had anyone experience an allergy to a tattoo?
Yeah, you must remember, this is a foreign substance going into your skin. So it's expensive for somebody to come in and do a patch test. So, for example, you come in to get a tattoo, you've never had a tattoo before, or you're going to get a little dot. We don't know, you could have a good reaction, and then we do the tattoo and you could have a bad reaction.
So does someone actually come in for, like, when you say for a patch test, they come in, you literally do a dot?
Like, some people ask that. I've never done it personally.
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
hey, listen, it is what it is. You're going to go through it. So I've had a few cases where, like, people develop a little bit of a rash, but it actually goes away. Sometimes, like, especially hotter weather, you're having a hot shower, you'll feel your tattoo almost kind of like raise a little bit. Like, you'll feel like, hey, wait now, what's going on? And that's just your body. Again, as I said, your body's constantly fighting the tattoo. So this is where you come into these problems. It just depends on how you are as a person.
Yeah.
I know the biggest one is red ink. Red ink, for some reason, people react to that. It's
the
always
color
one.
red ink.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, we always assume that, okay, that's the problem ink. In the EU, they've actually banned green and blue pigments. Yeah.
Why?
I don't know, they found something within it, like the metals or whatever. And again, this is only EU. They've got a different standards, obviously America, Africa. I actually don't know what the standard is in Africa, to be honest. Like nobody, it's not very governed.
Ha.
I don't know what to say. I shouldn't be saying it as a tattoo artist, but again, I always look out for my clients. So I'm not going to do something that I think, okay, the standard in America, okay, what's that? So because them and obviously EU are at the high standards, I'm like, okay, I need my green and blue ink. So America says it's fine. I'm still going to keep using it. I haven't had a problem with it, to be
Yeah.
honest. But again, people are getting sued left, right, and center for certain things. So I think it's also, I wouldn't know because I'm not a scientist as to what actually happens with the different pigments.
Because I was speaking to a friend of mine. She doesn't have any tattoos. I say yet. I've got a couple. And we were talking about, we wonder if there's ever been any autopsy or anything done on the brain of someone like who's not tattooed versus tattooed. So if you had like twins, for example, and one was quite heavily tattooed and one wasn't, and if you could see if it had affected them at all, if having the ink, the actual ink in the body had done anything. And then we start talking about the wellness aspect of it to say, okay, so imagine you had these identical twins. So you and your identical brother, you've got ink, you feel cool because you actually love how it shows you, because, there is something about having tattoos. It's almost a way of showing a true part of yourself to a complete stranger, because you've got this thing that either shows that you're into something, maybe you've lost someone. It's like having someone read your journal, right? But also to see if the wellness of someone who has been tattooed is different to someone who hasn't. As in, I feel really confident because I've tattooed myself. I met someone yesterday who, it's not really my story to share, but she was abused, and the abuser burned her on her leg and said, this is to show you if you ever speak about what I'm doing, I'll be able to kill you. And she waited until she was in her 60s, then she got it tattooed over. And the change in this woman is so remarkable because the tattoo has covered a scar that she's had since she was a 6-year-old little girl. And everything about her has changed. And she was very anti-tattoos. And she came around to this whole thing saying how this tattoo it's been a therapy for her. So I think to go all the way back to where I was coming, mindfulness and tattoos, from your angle as an artist, do you see the instant difference between someone who has versus just when they haven't and then they have got their tattoo?
100%. Like, I can't even tell you how much, not to say that people sometimes get tattoos, not because of anything regarding maybe something that happened to them, they lost a loved one. Some people just enjoy tattoos and they'll come and get anything basically. But even them, they don't understand the mental situation that happens within them, because you look at this and then somebody else looks at it and everybody's searching for love. I'll be honest with you 100%. And majority of the people that come back to me for tattoos is literally because they walked out and someone said, wow, this is amazing, who did this? And they're so happy to share this moment, and they just come back because they want that more and more and more. I won't lie, I have tattoos not because I enjoy the pain. Everyone's like, oh, you must enjoy the pain of tattoos. I actually hate the pain of tattoos. If I'd be that person that put me under, tattoo my whole body, and I've got a story and everyone can look at my body. But some people, it's a rite of passage. They want to feel the pain. Some people are actually addicted to the pain of it, which is weird. But on the wellness side of it, I've helped people cope through, again, losing loved ones, finding themselves. It's that thing of, I'm doing something permanent. It's not coming off.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people battle with things that are permanent. So for them to take that step, it's like breaking free. It's like, I've done something, cannot change it. This is with me for the rest of my life. But for example, when we did the first little pop-up, and what was her name? I can't remember her name now, but she did Reiki.
Yeah.
At that time, I had no.
Oh, what's her name?
I wouldn't want to say interest, but I've always loved the esoteric stuff. But when she came to me and said, no, first I'm going to do some Reiki on you to see if you're going to be able to tattoo me. I don't want any negative things coming in. And she looks at me and she does this little thing with the crystal, and then she's like, whoa, you aligned. I'm sitting there baffled because I don't know what all of this means. And that's when it even took me on a journey. So I'm very wary of, okay, when I tattoo somebody, what is my mental state like? Am I in a good energy to tattoo someone? Because that is literally, I'm pouring my heart and soul into someone. We now share something on a spiritual level. And I know some people, they don't think like that, but I guarantee you that that's what happens.
That's such a big and important point, because you have the people the girls have had 2 glasses of wine, now they want to go get their butterfly done, and they just go into the closest shop, and they don't know, and I'm not putting anyone down, but they don't know this person they're going to, who's about to put this work, not just give you a piece of paper with a drawing on. This person's about to put that energy, like you said, into you. Someone once equated it to actually sleeping with someone, because you've got such an energy exchange that's happening. And we don't think like that. We want a tattoo. It's so much more than that.
Now let me explain. So all my guy friends, guys, you know who you are, they always ask me that question of, oh, but now, like, all the girls, like, they're getting naked in front of you. I'm like, you're obviously equated it to sleeping with somebody. That person has to take their clothes off in front of me without a sexual interaction, which is also like a bit of a, it'll mess with your brain for that, because now it's a weird like dance between obviously them being exposed and me obviously having to touch their body physically, but it got nothing to do obviously with sex. It's literally art.
Do you just see it like a canvas, or do you, and I know, and you're very happily married and your wife is so hot. She's so hot. But are there moments where you're like, oh, damn, this woman's like super naked in front of me? Or are you go into that mode, you're like, this is a canvas and I'm happen to be tattooing her groin area or a breast or whatever?
I've honestly asked some of my friends as well who are tattoo artists. And again, what happens is I'm not gonna sit here and be a hypocrite and say a girl walks in fully clothed and you're like, oh, my Lord, like, hey, she's hot, like, But again, because I'm so, like, my mind literally goes into my art, that it doesn't even bother me anymore. So the first few times it is a bit like weird, like, okay, now you don't know how to touch somebody, but it just becomes like second nature. So there's absolutely no sexual connotation involved with most of the people that I speak to, especially me. Like, my wife's been with me. Yeah. When I first started tattooing, obviously, she's been there. She's seen all of this. She understands. I'm not going to say that it doesn't affect her. I'm sure it does. Anybody would. But again, that exchange for me, again, has to be so... I have to watch and be so careful about what I'm obviously
portraying,
putting out. And I won't lie, like, some people, they always ask me that thing, okay, when you're tattooing people in certain areas, like, are they aroused or whatever? Yeah. And it's like, I wouldn't know. Like, how do you tell your artist?
What is the most intimate area you've ever tattooed?
Like, I tattoo everywhere. Guys, girls, like, everywhere.
But what is the most intimate area you've tattooed?
What for you would be the most intimate?
Can you tattoo a penis? Can you tattoo a vagina? Is it possible to tattoo, like, near the anus? I mean, are there places that are not tattooable? No. Or can you tattoo anywhere? Someone can handle the pain.
People tattoo their palates. It's like there's...
Their palates? Yeah. The top of the mouth?
Yeah. Handpoke. The one guy I was watching just like put something on the girl's palates. I'm like, some people are tattooing their gums, but yeah, again, it just depends on how comfortable the artist is and how comfortable obviously the client is. All my friends say, okay, Paul, we see all the the girls' booties on your Instagram page. What about the guys? And I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't know. And the first question is obviously, I don't know how we can say it on air, but is it hard? Is it soft? Is it like... Yeah. I wouldn't know. I'm not experienced. And if they're paying me, it's part of my job. It's like, it's going to a doctor.
Okay. All right. Is there any part of the body that is not allowed to be tattooed?
Honestly, no. Like, I haven't come across, like, for example, permanent makeup. Like, I know my aunt always said, oh, you guys and your tattoos, you'll need to stop now. And then my cousin's like, oh, but you got tattoos. She's like, no, I don't. She's like, your eyebrows and your eyeliner.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You see, so it's like, yeah, people are tattooing literally everywhere. Like, I haven't come across a place that hasn't been tattooed, to be honest.
For the makeup, if someone wanted permanent makeup, would they go to an aesthetic doctor or would they go to a tattoo artist?
Honestly, I trust a tattoo artist before I actually trust those people. You must know, we're dealing with this. Like, I could put an eyebrow on your face. I'll be so pedantic about that, where it needs to be so realistic, because that's what I do with my art. And now you're going to someone who's just... I'm not saying that they aren't good, like, permanent makeup artists.
Yeah, but we've seen some of those brows.
But exactly. Like, we know those people. So the thing with it is, I would love to get into it. I just don't know yet how the inks work, because it's a totally different like concepts with your inks, it's actually called semi-permanent. So you have to come and touch up. For me, that's a pyramid scheme. It's like you do it and you got to come pay me again to do
Yeah.
it, which is weird. But I'm not knocking what they do. I'd actually love to get into it, but I think there can be a permanent way of doing it, because if I can tattoo your face, I wouldn't talk too much about the eyeliner, because that's like going in by the eyes. I wouldn't actually want to mess with anybody's eyes. But when it comes to eyebrows, like I could do that thing with my normal tattoo ink. And this is what I've been playing with for a while without actually tattooing somebody. But I've been doing my research on what the inks do
Really?
and how they work in your skin. Because if you get a tattoo, if I was to tattoo a heart on your cheek, for example.
Which I would be open to.
See?
Yeah.
It's going to turn that bluish greeny tone literally because there's different oils in your face as opposed to your arm. So there's a lot of things that you have to look into and what colors turn like different shades. So if, for example, if I tattooed brown on your eyebrows, it'll kind of like soften down. It'll go almost like this yellowy tone. So that I know I have to darken it. And so there's a lot of things that go into it.
When it comes to, because we're talking about the eyebrow, I know a lot of men at the moment, and I don't know if it's I'm just more aware of it, or because I'm in my 40s, so men my age are going for the hair plugs and the whatevers. Is tattooing the head of a man, is that a thing that's happening, or would that just look weird?
A big thing, like for example, are you talking about a picture or tattooing actually physical
Oh,
hair?
sorry, not like a bald head and you tattooing a image, so it looks like a tattoo. Someone who's got tattooed hair.
Big industry.
Really?
Big industry.
But can it ever look real?
Listen, I won't lie, it looks basically like stubble. There's people that are doing it that it looks phenomenal. I won't lie. I've seen some stuff, and I'm actually
Looks like
for it.
stubble, so you still are bald
You're
in
bald,
essence,
yeah.
but it looks like you've shaved your whole head.
Yeah.
You don't look like
so it's
you're
not
actually
like you've got
bald.
like stubble here and then a shiner on top. It's like just, yeah.
And over scars, because this is another, because when I knew I was going to be talking to you on the podcast, and I love tattoos and tattooing, but I also understand that I want to connect it to wellness. And for me, tattoos have always been a thing that I've come to you every time something's been happening in my life. So whether it was a breakup, a job loss, or whatever, I come to you and we work on that. For me, it's just like a stamp of this is something you've gone through. When it comes to the tattooing, where was I going with this?
You said scars.
Oh, the scars, yes.
Yeah.
So the wellness about how you can feel better about yourself. And then we're talking about tattooing over scars. And someone said, can you tattoo over scars? Now, I told you about that woman that did like a burn mark,
Yeah.
but I actually wasn't sure. And I was like, I'll have to ask Paul. Can you tattoo over a scar? I mean, there's women that have mastectomies. Can you tattoo on a nipple, for example? Is that something that's doable? Would it ever look real? If you have a scar on your body that you really don't like, can you tattoo over that, or is that just going to make it worse? Can you tattoo over varicose veins? These are some of the things that we were asking.
So the varicose veins is a bit of a tricky one simply because it's a vein right on the top of the skin. So you never know. You could touch the skin and just like bleeds out. Well, in terms of like the ink, like just going in and making a smudge in
Okay.
essence. So I'll be honest, I've never actually had to tattoo somebody like who had like really bad varicose veins. But when it comes to scars, minimum 2 years it has to heal.
The scar must have been already 2 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, that's just rule of thumb. I don't know who created it, like, but that was the thing that we were taught. 2 years, and then you can obviously now your skin, because when your skin heals, obviously underneath that, there's still some healing that's taking place. So your skin will grow over, and then still underneath that. And then when you're tattooing somebody and it was too soon, then you run the risk of obviously developing keloids, and that's what you don't want.
And so you cannot then tattoo over a keloid. If someone's got a keloid scar, can you tattoo over that?
I've done it again. Like some people, you can see where that thing actually has stopped now. So I was tattooing a guy's neck, and he had that razor rash, and it developed into a keloid, and it didn't move from there. So we did a piece, and I had to tattoo like into this thing. I was very scared, obviously, but it worked out well. I did check up on him, and nothing happened after that. But it's that initial bit where it's still healing. I wouldn't touch it.
Okay.
Like I've tattooed some people with minor scars for, it's been about maybe a couple months, of maybe a year, where I've managed to do something and they're all fine. But I'd rather let something heal for a longer period of time. And it's a funny thing when you talk about wellness. Like I, for one, like enjoy like seeing people's scars. I'm like, hey, that must be a nice story. Everyone got a little cut on their knee, for instance. And some people are so it gets them down. Like, I didn't understand how much a little a mark on somebody's leg affects them. Because a girl came to me, she's like, I really need this thing. I've had this thing my whole life. I hate the scar. Please, can we do something? And I look at him like, it's not bad. Like, I don't even really see anything, but that's my outlook on it. Her outlook is like, everybody's looking at this thing.
Yeah.
So she needs this thing gone. And again, it comes into that wellness, because tattooing is something that when people want to actually look at you, at least they're looking at something nice. So they're not looking and you feeling embarrassed about it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, like, they struggle. People are struggling out there.
Big time, man. Is there anything you won't tattoo? So is there if someone comes in and they're like, oh, I've just met Justin, I love Justin, I want Justin tattooed on my arm. Are you like, do as you please, bro, you're paying me? Or are you like, come back in a year, if you still love Justin, then I'll do it?
I counsel people first.
Counsel.
I'm like, listen, trust me, I've tattooed every name I've tattooed. I think bar 2 maybe, I've covered them up. Like,
No.
every I've covered them all up. Like, there was a lady, I had just started working like in a proper tattoo studio. She comes in, husband's name's Mickey. She gets a little Mickey Mouse tattoo on her ankle. This lady was maybe in her 50s. Comes to me, like, can we please change this thing? It's like, no, me and Mickey didn't work out. So I'm like, wow. It's like, I just thought, okay, it's not a name, it's a picture. At least it's something nobody will know. But yeah, it affects
Mickey
people.
wasn't fine,
Yeah.
wasn't fine.
And some people say, okay, then get a picture rather, so that nobody will, it's not anybody's name. That lives with them. That reminds them. They look at
Every
that tattoo
single
and it's like,
time.
so they want to get it covered.
Because I know I can't have you here for too much longer, but when it comes to covers, so I know a cover up seems like the easy way out. I did this thing, now I don't like it, or I want to get Justin's name covered, so I just come and do a cover. Covers, are they as easy as they seem? What can one expect from a cover? Can you come to an artist and say, I want a cover, make it a butterfly? Or do I have to let the artist say, listen, let me see what I can do with this, because I ain't going to get a butterfly to cover
Listen,
that.
there's some that'll work, there's some that won't. Like, black that thing out. Like there's some things that just can't work, but most of the times you have to obviously go bigger. Some people think that I just want to put another tattoo over that and it's going to disappear.
Yeah.
No, there's so many things you have to take into consideration. How many lines are in there? Like, because even with cover-ups, it's not that you're actually taking that away. You're just fooling the eye to thinking that nothing was there. So that's the play where good artists can do it well. I can guarantee you now, every tattoo artist hates cover-ups because you're having to work a little bit harder, and therefore people are like, you're going to have to pay more. And I hate cover-ups. I do the most cover-ups though. Because people are like, I saw what you did with my friend, please think of something. And again, I'm helping someone get over something that they actually look at in the mirror and they do not like it. And my job is to make them, obviously, when they look at that, they say, okay, Paul did this. My name is echoing in the back of their head in a good vibe. Like, they remember, like, hey, Paul helped me out. I hate that when I tell people, I'm like, you want Justin's name? And then you're going to look at that and say, that guy Paul did this tattoo. He messed me up. Because people don't like taking the blame. They're like, no, he did
Paul's
it.
problem. Yeah. So actually talking about taking the blame, I say I'm a mom. I come in with my 16-year-old daughter. I want us to get matching tattoos. I want to sign that paper. I know she's under 18, but I want her to get it. What is the legality with that? Do we have an age limit here? And even as if the guardian comes with, then can you say, I'm sorry, ma'am, I'm not tattooing your 16-year-old?
I prefer not to tattoo, like, obviously 16-year-olds, even 18-year-olds. Like, you don't really know what you want in life. If I can see, okay, it's small, it's decent, like, it's not going to mess with them in the long term. But again, parental consent, 16. Majority of the time, shops now, they just tell you 18 and over. It's just easier that way.
And is there an age limit on the other side? So do you ever get to a point where Bali comes in, he's in his 80s, he's seen the sun a little bit, maybe. Can you I'm trying to ask, can you tattoo old skin?
You can. It's tricky.
Is
Again,
it?
ink, the skin's very fragile. You're looking, there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's not going to be a nice crispy line as when he was 25. So there's a lot of things that go into it. Some people at that age, though, their skin's actually phenomenal. So it just depends on what their skin's like. And again, you said, like, obviously, Durban boy surfing his whole life. That skin's orange. It's like, and just loose everywhere. It's tough. It's tough. Because again, like, if I'm stretching your skin, for example, and then I let go and it goes back like that, there's things that you have to look at. Area, obviously.
So that's another thing, and I don't know how we're doing for time, but I'm like almost done here. When it comes to an area, someone's watching and they're keen for their like a tattoo, but they're not. You know, the whole thing of, but when I'm old, what's going to look like? If you had to say to someone, if you're worried about something not aging well, stay away from this area. Where would you say to stay away from?
Stomach, ribs, like obviously anywhere where your skin might get loose a little bit more.
Neck?
Even that, like I don't really see a problem. To be honest with you, you're getting old. Your face no longer looks like what it used to when you were 25. But for me, tattoos actually, I think they're cool on old people. Like when I see
they're amazing. I agree.
It's just phenomenal. So I don't have that thing where people come to me and say, oh, but what is going to look like when I'm old? I'm like, then you're going to just look like gangster. Like that's actually going to be incredible. You have a story to tell. So for me, I try and sell people the image of what it actually will do for you when you're old. It's not going to be that thing of, oh, it's going to look like this and it's saggy.
Yeah.
Because again, the technology in tattoos now is so far beyond what we had before, where the inks are so much better, the needles, the artists are so much better. And yeah, your tattoo will look a lot better for a lot longer.
And finally, do you think there's a difference in the quality of work or the experience of getting a tattoo? Going in completely just, I've got my like dark chocolate to help with my pain or whatever, I've got my music and I'm coming in, versus I've got a little bit of a numbing cream or I've got a bit of an anesthetic. Where is your mind with that?
The numbing cream stuff doesn't work. Like I hate tattooing people with the numbing cream thing because it just messes up your skin. Like
what do you mean?
So there's one main product that everyone uses, Imla. So what it does is it literally disperses the blood, and what I start tattooing, no, it's not so harsh on your skin, and then all of a sudden this blood starts coming back. Now the skin's all mushy. You actually feel that thing twice.
Oh really?
The time that as you would normally. So it's a bit of a tough one.
Okay, so it also is not going to make the better tattoo.
Yeah,
so
it just makes my job
just
harder.
feel
So
it.
we're sitting. Yeah, go through it.
Just go feel
like
it.
You'll be surprised at how your pain receptors in your body work. Like a lot of people, they come in with like a lot of adrenaline. They're hyped for their tattoo and they sit and there's so many things going through your mind. And I found that me getting older, getting tattoos, is like because I'm so used to it, that excitement isn't as much as it used to be. So it's like, whoa, this is a little bit tender here. so that's the thing. That is the thing with it. So yeah, it's just tattoos are not the worst thing you're ever gonna feel. I can guarantee you.
How much would let's say a man wants to get a half sleeve done, there to there, fully? I know we're not going to touch the elbow. How much for an artist at your level am I looking at to spend for a black and grey, there to there, full sleeve tattoo?
So it just depends. Obviously, it depends on the design, how much detail is in it.
Simple design-ish.
Okay,
let's just like a higher end price, but not the highest.
So, for example, with that full wraparound, you're looking at between 8 and 10K.
And that would be a few sittings, I presume. You wouldn't do that in one day.
It depends. If that person can handle it, I can smash it out in one day. But I always do let people know, do your 4 to 6 hours. Don't spend too long on their tattoo. Some people can handle it, so you can obviously go longer. But your body starts acting up after that 4 hour period. Yeah, that's why everyone asks me like, is white ink more painful? It's like, no.
It's because at the
your
end,
skin is just raw and they're coming with this tiny little needle, touching everywhere that's already been burning.
The white ink is the most sore.
See, and that's it. So it's just about that. How long can you sit? So I always generally tell people, if you want to book me for a day, for example, I charge 10K for a day. You're sitting between 6 and 8 hours. And a lot of people look at it like, oh my gosh, like that's so much. But again, what I can do in those 10 hours or those 8 hours is so much more than what other artists generally do, because I'm so fast. So I have to also adapt like my work ethic, number one, and then also like my artistry. So I could put in a lot more detail compared to other people in a short amount of time. So I also have to pace myself. So for example, the one guy paid me extra because I done it quicker. The other guy says to me, but Paul, you done it so quick. Why are you charging me so much?
Good. I said perspective.
Yeah. So for me, I'm letting you get out of the pain quicker.
Yeah.
You're getting the same big tattoo that you wanted, and you're paying that money. So, for example, like the guys that come in and complain and they try and haggle price, it's like, hey, listen, I've done this for many years of my life. I went through the sacrifices and I charge what I charge because I'm really good at what I do.
Yeah, and if you want a cheap tattoo, do you? You know what I mean?
Listen, it's tough. It's a tough one, and a lot of people. A guy just sent me a message now. He's got this wording on him. He's like, hey, listen, can you fix this? I just got to wait for it to heal. I'm like, it hasn't even healed yet, and he's already worried about it. And unfortunately, that's the chance you take.
How does someone find you if they want to have a consult with you, come and get some work done by you, or even come an apprentice? How would someone get hold of you?
Listen, so obviously with me, because I work on my own, like I don't generally work in your normal tattoo studio where there's 5 artists and you got an apprentice that's cleaning everyone's station. Like to get into that, I honestly don't. So
you're
really,
not the person
I've never, really. I want to. There's some good artists that I actually want to introduce to the industry, but obviously on the right path. But yeah, no, for me, it's just I'm on my own. Instagram, that's where everyone.
What's your Instagram handle?
It's Paul _Wheatley _9, and then
Paul
all my work.
Wheatley _9.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you for everything you've done for me, because also you have been like a therapist for me. You know, you sit down, and beside just getting a really cool tattoo, it's the process of it. It's the talk that happens while you're doing it, and you are one of the most mindful men. In my circle of friends, I would say. So it's a really beautiful experience, and I'm so glad that we got to.
No, I'm glad to say, like,
thank you.
As much as it's therapy for the other person, it's also nice for me because I get to speak to other people and learn different things. So on that perspective, yeah, again, you said like therapy, tattoos are cheaper than therapy.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
You get to look good.
Tattoos are cheaper than therapy.
Yeah, you get to look good, go out and get some therapy in. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Paul, and
Absolute
hopefully I'll be
pleasure.
seeing you soon.
Oh, definitely.
That's it for today. Catch you next time. Thank you for watching the Well I Am podcast. And if you enjoyed what you saw, please like it, share it, and subscribe. If you have any comments, comment below. We will get back to each and every one of you. And if you would like to know more about us or you want to get some product, welliam.co.za.